Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nadine, and I'm the Special Collections Librarian here at the Newark Public Library. I hope that you'll enjoy some of the specimens from our movable book collection that I'm about to show you today. For those of you who do know, we have a collection of works on paper. Most of that is comprised of fine prints, rare books, and artist books and posters. But we do have some really fun collections, which include the pop-up books, illustrated books, greeting cards, and shopping bags. Feel free to comment here or to send an email at any time to specialcollections@npl.org. So I'm back in the library today, so that makes it a lot easier to show some of the items that we have here in our collection. So pop-up books have movable parts. The ones in our collection have lift flaps, revolving reels, and pull tab mechanics. Many of the books were created for young people, but they also have a very wide appeal for adult readers. Some of them are highly sophisticated in concept and content, and they are highly attractive to readers of all ages. The Newark Public Library has collected several hundreds of these because they are interesting in an artistic way, in graphic design, and the amount of creativity that is involved. Usually it involves a collaboration between many people. So in addition to an author, an illustrator, and a publisher, there is a paper engineer who is involved. The engineering factor is essential because nobody wants to purchase a movable book or a pop-up book that's not going to work correctly, that it's going to break down. A lot of these get a lot of use by children, so they have to be quite sturdy and made very well. Some of the major topics in our collection include animals, stories, legendary and mythical creatures, exploration of space, folk tales, traditional stories, holidays, and miniature books. Our collection contains over 500 of these. Some of them are historic. We collect to the present day, so we have many contemporary examples. And basically, they serve as a testament to the ability of artists and paper engineers who collaborate and create these magnificent works. I know it's not the same experience as viewing these and handling these in person. I will do my best showing you these to the screen so at least you can admire these with me and understand how some of this paper mechanics works. The first one I want to show you is one of the more historic books in our collection. It is called the Daily Express Children's Annual. This was published in London in 1933. In 1929, British book publisher Louis Gerard conceived and designed of books with movable parts. At this time, they were not called pop-up books. I'll show you in the table of contents that he refers to these as books with self-erecting models. So that was the term that was used for pop-up books in this particular publication. Each title consisted of 5 double-page spreads that erect automatically when the book is open to those pages. And those pop-ups can be viewed at any angle and from all different sides. Unlike German books that were similar, that were produced a few years earlier, these were rather inexpensive, so more people couldn't afford to buy them. And between 1929 and 1949, Gerard produced a series of 16 of these annuals. And after this, he became an independent publisher. His books reached a very wide audience and they were popular. So I will just show you 2 examples from this particular work. Here we have, this is how you would open it. It is a pop-up to accompany a story called The Flower Fairy. So we've got a rabbit in the front and a fairy that is coming out of a flower. And keep in mind, this was from the 1930s, and the colors and the paper engineering, it is still in very marvelous shape. Here we have a story called The Oak and the Matchstocks. So when you open this particular book, you see this scene. That's pretty cool, right? A man is sawing a piece of wood. The next one I want to show you is called Cats Up. It's a book by Ray Marshall and Corky Paul. A book of, quote, purring pop-ups from 1982. It's about a bunch of mischievous cats that are always up to trouble. And the book includes pop-ups and pull tabs. So, for example, we open this one page and here's a cat fishing into a fishbowl, getting himself into trouble with a fish. I will attempt the rest of this. Let's see. You pull the tabs and it is hard to see, but it's a cat jumping up and down and tearing a curtain into shreds. And then there is a bird cage on the top, and then if I pull the flap, there's another cat getting himself into trouble. Then the cats decided to form some sort of rock band or a musical band. So you open up the page, and here they are. If I pull the tab for this particular cat, it might be a little hard to see, but he's playing the drums with his paws. He's really cool. He's got his sunglasses on. And instead of playing the violin, this fellow here on this side is playing on a cat's tail. That's pretty funny. Next book is called Gossip, and it's by a man called Jan Pienkowski, who is a Polish-born British author of children's books. He's an illustrator and a writer and a designer. Here, in this delightful pop-up book, it's basically a game of telephone between animals. Oh, I've played this game before, and if you have as a child, basically the concept is there's one comment that is told to somebody else, and by the time it passes through 20 or 20 people, it becomes very exaggerated. It might not even be the original thought that was first mentioned. The very first image is this cat. He says, "I thought I saw a saucer on the roof last night," said the cat. "I must just tell my friend." And a couple pages later, a duck tells the bulldog something similar. Oh, there's the bulldog. And he says, "There's a big blue monster on the roof, and he's got enormous sharp fangs, and I must tell my friend." So then you can imagine, by the time you get to the very end, whatever they saw has sharp feet, webbed fangs, and something totally different and much more scary. The next book is called Hot Pursuit, and this is from 1989. Written and designed by Kees Moerbeck and Carla Dees. What's really, really interesting about this book is, I don't know if you could see on the cover here, it says it is a forward and backward pop-up book. At first I said, oh, what does that mean? Basically, it's a never-ending book. You can keep reading it and flipping it around, and the story continues. So, for example, if you open it up here, and the text says, "A gallant knight who was chasing," and you flip, And then when you get to the last page, this is a cackling witch who was chasing, and you think you're done, but no, you're not. You flip the book around, and she was chasing a cat. So every section, you can look at it two ways. So this is really fun and neat to play with. Here we have an oversized pop-up book. And this is more for adults, but it's appropriate for all ages. And it's a book of pop-ups of the works, of selected works of M.C. Escher. So he was a Dutch graphic artist whose illustrations constantly play with our perception of reality by layering multiple conflicting perspectives. This book was produced in association with the Escher estate. So it includes pop-ups of some of the images, quotes by the artist, as well as explanations of some of the artwork. You can see this. Here is a work called Balcony. And it was a lithograph that was made in 1945. And it is meant to be an illusion of an illusion. It is a distorted fifth floor balcony of a New York City apartment building that demonstrates the concept of impossible spaces, and it was an attempt to break the two-dimensionality of paper. Next is one called Bond of Union. And this was done in 1956, and it shows the heads of a man and a woman represented as spirals in space. It suggests the infinity of time and space, and this work was inspired by H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man. The piece explores humanity and the bonds that hold people together. And the last one I want to show you is called Waterfall, and this is a lithograph from 1961. And it's a playful piece of an aqueduct which changes directions 3 times. So basically what you're seeing here is impossible due to the 90-degree angles that keep appearing. The artist uses conflicting proportions to create a visual paradox. Here's a pretty one that's called Secrets of the Sea by artist Christian Reese Lassen. It's a stunning book about the secret world that lies beneath the waves. Animals come into vibrant life, and it's a great educational tool for children. And in addition to being a great educational tool, it is just wonderful and very pleasing to the eye to look at. Here we have some sea turtles. And here we have a whole underwater scene. So we've got coral reef, we've got again turtles at the top, we've got a different variety of fish, we've got a whale here, so it's really, really neat. Another well-known artist is an artist from Czechoslovakia called Wojtek Kubasta. He was pressured by his father to go into a profession, preferably to become a lawyer. He didn't do that. He unwillingly went to study architecture and then only practiced for a very short while because he really was the creative type who wanted to be an artist. So he became a book designer and a commercial artist, and the first pop-up book he made was in 1956 of Little Red Riding Hood. And here we have the 3 little pigs. Okay, so here we've got the scared little piggies, and the wolf is right outside trying to huff and puff and blow their house down. And then we have one of the wolf trying to come down on the fireplace, and all the piggies are laughing all around. And the reason I forgot to mention that I love many of these so much is because I had a whole library of pop-up books in Russian and Polish when I was growing up, mostly folk tales. So I spent much time going through those books and really appreciating the art and the innovation that went into them. Here we have A Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. This particular version was, of course, published later on. This was from 2005. For those of you who may not know, Beatrix did have a rabbit named Peter, and this all sort of got its roots when there was a little boy who was sick, and she tried to cheer him up by writing him a little note about her rabbit. And that developed into a whole series of books. In many of the stories, Peter lives with his siblings, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail. Peter made his first appearance in 1902. In this particular book, he disobeys his mother's orders and sneaks into Mr. McGregor's garden. He eats as many vegetables as he can before he is spotted, and then he is chased. He manages to escape, but in the process, he loses his clothes, which the farmer then uses on a scarecrow. Peter returns home after all this that happened to him, and he came home without any clothes, and his mother put him right to bed with some chamomile tea. And this is another book that has various mechanics in it. So in addition to pop-up, there are pull-up tabs and other three-dimensional features. So here we have Peter just having a time of his life, having a feast on all the carrots he could find in the garden. And then you can see you've got these pull-out tabs, and he's crawling under the fence. This page again, and this is an actual net in the book. Peter gets caught. Okay. There we go. And there he goes, under the fence again, getting away. Another very well-known creator of pop-up books is Robert Buda, and we had an exhibition of his books a few years back. He was inspired to make pop-up books. The first time he ever saw them was at a dentist office, and he saw a basket of books, and they were pop-ups, and he was just mesmerized and inspired, and he began making them. This is from 2007, The Chronicle of Narnia, and each one is a different experience, and it's even difficult just to select two to show you because all of them are so incredible. So on the first page, we have the Great Lion. Get ready. Pretty neat, right? I mean, this one by itself, this one looks like it's even in motion. you have to think about what goes into making these to make sure nothing gets crushed or folded as you're putting the pages back, and that everything connects where it's supposed to. And then some of these can just pop up so high out of the books. In 2018, the Movable Book Society celebrated its 25th anniversary, and they produced this stunning portfolio. It's called A to Z Marvels in Paper Engineering. So you open up the box, and first thing you see something like this. And then in the box are all of these little booklets, and each booklet is made by an artist, and it represents a letter of the alphabet. So I'm just going to show you the one for Q, and each of these open up sort of like a greeting card with a pop-up inside. So Q is for quiet. A wish is about to come true. This is, and on the back it tells you more about the artist. This one was designed by Aurore Levilan. And you open it up and you get the shape of a Q with a fisherman. And my Q for you. Make your own wish come true. And this set was a gift from book artist Edward Hutchins. We have many of Hutchins's work in our collection, and it was donated to us in memory of William J. Dane, who was a librarian here in the Special Collections Department for decades. The next one is Tibetan Buddhist altars, a pop-up of traditional art and wisdom from 2004. Now, again, it was hard to select which books to show you today if we have a collection of over 500. I mean, we've got one for The Walking Dead, for example. We've got one of Formula race cars that pop up, superheroes, almost any topic that you could think of. This offers three-dimensional meditation. They include renderings of paintings with 5 important deities, which are represented in stunning pop-up scenes, and they include mantras and brief histories. So you open the 2 front flaps, and then this piece folds down, and then there's the first one, second one, third, fourth, and fifth. And then if you could see maybe on the bottom, it tells you, the name and more information about each one. The last book I want to show you is probably my favorite in the collection, but it's completely inappropriate, so by no means is this a children's book, or should it ever be shown to children. It is a book called The Pop-Up Book of Celebrity Meltdowns, produced by Melter Media in 2006. It's a satirical combination of celebrities gone wild. They include public mishaps of superstars, which are brought to life with humorous caricatures and stunningly ingenious paper engineering. So, for example, the first one here would uncover Janet Jackson's mishap at the Super Bowl. So I can't really show you that one. Let me show you one called Top Gun Nosedives. In 2005, Tom Cruise appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And he sat on her sofa and he professed his love for Katie Holmes. And there he is, jumping up and down because he's so excited and so in love. The next one I'd like to show you is called From Champ to Chomp. And just to give you a little clue of other scenes which may be in here, you might find Hugh Grant in here, you might find Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson, and then who else? Oh, and Winona Ryder, known as Winona Scissorhands for her shoplifting. So here is From Champ to Chomp. This one does not have a pull-out tab, but I think you can get the concept. So for those of you who might remember, this was the fight in 1997 where Mike Tyson took a bit of a nibble of Evander Holyfield's ear. So I hope that you've enjoyed some of the books that I've showed you as much as I love looking at them and showing them. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for tuning in. And again, this is the Special Collections Division of the Newark Public Library, and if you ever have any questions, please feel free to email specialcollections@npl.org. Thank you.